Yoel Knoll, CMO of Cyborg. I have waited to talk to you about this for exactly 3 days. And it's true because we started talking as we usually do, and you said something pretty offensive. You said to me, Billy, I believe marketers, our profession, okay, we're becoming dumber. You used the word dumber.
I did indeed.
You did. And this is what sparked this video because, hey, we are not getting dumber. Um, unless you prove to me and argue your point that we are getting dumber. But mainly you think it's due to AI. So can you please tell me why you think I'm getting dumber?
Yeah, of course. Um, I'm not saying we're getting dumber. I'm saying we are at risk of getting dumber. And if you look at the results online, well, I think they support my point of view. The thing is that when you rely too much on AI, which is what a lot of marketers do these days, you kind of lose your own skills, right? People don't write
Okay.
anymore, right? They put, two words or a couple of command lines into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever they're using, and presto, they have a post, they have a blog, they have, their claim to fame. Um, the problem with these tools is that they're all programmed to please humans and not please our ICP, but actually please us as the people who are writing to them. So what does the algorithm do? It goes online, it checks what is written out there, and I will give you an output which is like the average. So what happens is that if 10 years ago everybody was writing their own copy and trying to be unique, now it's all bland. It's all pretty much 1500 shades of gray, but it's all the same. It's all
But it's
empowering
not.
this, doing that, helping. It's
So
I
I agree with you. So you can always tell the content that's been written by ChatGPT, Claude, or whoever, right? Um, and I agree with you on that front, but I don't actually think that before generative AI became sort of like mainstream, that our situation was any different. We've always had so much top of the funnel content. So many writers who are writing more of the same. And if you Google any article, and then you can get sort of like 20 blogs that are exactly the same, even more, right? So it's not
Mhm.
new. I think that ChatGPT obviously, and its equivalents, make it easier to produce more of the garbage. But we were producing a lot of garbage beforehand. It wasn't as
Oh,
if beforehand
no
it was like,
doubt.
oh, everything was so unique, it was amazing.
No,
No,
no
we've been
doubt.
complaining about sameness for many, many years.
Billy, no doubt. But
Okay.
it's making the threshold much lower. Now, one of the things that I used to do in almost every company I worked for is have several writers, several voices speaking. So that's one way of doing it. But
But you can still do that also with,
yeah,
you can
sure.
train
Claude
with.
versus ChatGPT, on the 10th blog, they become the same because they learn from one another. That's the way they work.
ChatGPT or all the generative AI tools are not responsible really for the boring copy. I mean, because we had that beforehand. I think that the problem is broader. Okay,
Mhm.
so you have the founders who are and the CEOs who are in love with their product, and they see what their peers are doing online. They see what their competitors are doing online. They see their websites. They see their materials, and they say, "We want that." Okay,
Yes.
it's envy. They say, "This company is successful. We want to be like that," and they really force the hand of many marketers to actually do more of the same. And the minute that a marketer shows them something different, they're like, no, they're risk averse.
I disagree.
Entrepreneurs, risk averse, it's like crazy.
I agree and disagree, and I'll tell you what. Yes, they all look sideways, and I call it sometimes driving by looking at the rearview mirror. They're always looking at the rearview mirror at the competition. They're not looking forward at what
Right.
they need to do. These are arguments I'm having all the time with every
Exactly.
CEO I've worked with or had the pleasure to work with. Actually, I should say. But as marketers, you cannot give into that because what happens is that you do become bland. And as a marketer, you're serving your CEO, not your buyer. It's
Right.
very easy to serve the CEO. That's one person. You learn that person. You know what he or she likes. Beautiful. You're going to be able to do a lot of great copy, and everybody's going to be happy until end of the quarter or end of the year, when we see zero results, and then okay, so where has all my money gone? And then then you're in trouble. So I would say it's better to argue beforehand, and for every two bland pieces, put in one that is great. Okay.
More and more marketers have an issue of fighting that case with the founders. Again, they're in love with their product, and their product is wonderful. And that's why they force the marketers to write all the
Yeah, but
features,
that's
functions,
the age-old
benefits on their
problem.
website and to look the same.
Really.
It's
I've been doing this for way longer than I care, or probably at my age, capable of remembering. Right? It has always been the case. It's nothing new. Okay.
yeah.
The problem with my problem with being too much dependent on Gen AI is that it's very easy to succumb to it. The
hmm
threshold is so low that you're saying, oh, you know what? The heck with it. I'll just go on ChatGPT. I'll take in my competitor's copy. I'll put it in and
Yeah.
say, please rephrase. And then no, but that's exactly what makes us dumber.
So,
So,
okay,
so I'd
I
say,
think that the ongoing from that, I think that the next point
mhm,
going on from that is the fact that instead of going out to meet clients, instead of going out to actually speak face to face and to understand the customer problems, or instead of even listening to gong calls, marketers are relying on, Gen AI to give them the answers to what their ICP pain points are.
yes,
I think that's an issue. And I think that that's also
yes,
something that, again, goes back to the CEO, who I know many marketers who are working, for example, for months on a major trade show. And they don't actually go to the trade show because the CEO says, actually, we don't have budget for the CMO, the VP marketing, the marketing director to go to that show. Now, what does it mean if they don't go to that show? They don't get to meet their target audience. So how are they supposed to learn about their target audience if they're not actually meeting them?
yes, there's always a problem. The marketer is always, last on the picking line. But that's, if you succumb to it, if you give up, if you give into this, if you're saying, okay, that's the way the world turns, then nothing is going to change.
I know
I
many marketers who have resigned
had, I
over
had
similar points. I know many marketers who have said, I've not managed to convince the CEO
and
of the
I appreciate
worthiness of marketing. I've resigned.
really, I think that they're doing the right thing. I fully support CMOs who would resign because they're not getting a seat at the table. That's fine. The question is, what have you done to deserve that seat? Because nobody's going to hand it to you on a silver platter. Simply because, not everybody understands what marketers do. We do, but we never explain it. We expect people to know. We expect people, yes, they know the difference between product marketing, sales development. They don't. You need to explain it to them, and you need to make sure that people understand the value you bring to the table, right? So don't be expected to get an invitation, but walk into the room and make your point. Make sure that people understand why you bring value. By the way, make the sales team your partners. Usually there's a lot of clashes. Oh, yeah,
Yep.
the sales team, they want my goal when I go into a company, my KPI is not lead gen, it's not clicks, it's not followers. It's only closing deals, right? And sometimes
Closing deals, that's not your job. I'm sorry.
closing
You're not.
deals is my only
No, it
KPI.
isn't. That's the sales job. That's the
No,
sales job. I'm
it's a
very
sales,
sorry.
Billy, it's a sales job. It's my KPI, me and my partner at sales, because we are responsible for the business side of the house. Now, if you don't put that as your KPI, nothing else matters. Because hold it, listen up. This is important because CEOs, as you probably know, as a CEO, care about the bottom line. They care about money.
Yep.
All the beautiful things that we love as marketers to talk about, they're metrics. There's like stepping stones to tell us if we're on the right way. At the end of the
hmm
day, what matters is opportunity, which is pipeline, and closing deals. Now, as a marketer, I support closing deals. Why? Because my drip campaigns also goes to people who are in the sales pipeline. And the presentations I prepare, the videos, the product marketing material I do, the events we go to, and make sure that everybody's sitting in the right room and having the right content. I, as a marketer, influence
Of
closing.
course you do.
Sales
But
cannot do it without me. Hold it. That means that my KPI is when I help sales get that signature at the bottom. It
up
takes.
until opportunity. I'm sorry, you will not. I'm sorry. This is, unless you're a SaaS company and there is almost a touchless process with regards to purchasing. if you are a marketer and you need to rely on a salesperson in order to get the signature, then I'm sorry, it stops at the opportunity.
No,
And it has to, because you could be working your ass off, bringing in the best opportunities, and the salesperson fucks up. Like, they do a bad job.
let me ask you a question.
Yes.
So if Envy has tomorrow
Yes.
10,000 more followers on social,
Yep.
and you got 1 million people going into your website every day,
Every day.
and
True
people are
story.
talking to you in the news, talking about you in the news, but you're getting $0. What do
Yep.
you do at the end of the year? You start firing people.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, nothing matters except for getting the sales. Now, here's the thing. Here's why marketers feel so frustrated, because they're saying, "Oh, I only take care of this part. Everything else."
No, it's a huge part, though. It's not only this part, it's a huge part.
If you're a CMO, there's a C. That means you're chief. That means you're sitting in management. It means it's your responsibility, because the business side of the house is you and the sales manager.
Only if it's the CRO position. I'm sorry. If the CMO is also CRO,
No,
okay.
I disagree. I disagree.
Okay. We'll have to agree to disagree, because I've been down this rabbit hole a million times, and there is no chance of convincing me that I'm responsible for sales. But what I'm astounded with, and if we go back to the original discussion of, I think that marketers have a problem that they don't get in front of the ICP. I think that many marketers also suffer from the fact that, because mostly they're not technical, they fear having a conversation with their ICP. I'm not from cybersecurity background. I'm not an analyst. I've not been trained. So how am I going to hold a conversation with the security team leader or with the CISO? They're embarrassed, or they're sort of like too afraid to have that conversation with them. And second of all, that they can't actually stand up, in inverted commas, to the co-founders, who are usually very technical. So the argument usually gets cut off at a very early stage, and that's how they get sort of like pigeonholed into this, marketing being very limited in their influence. And I think that's a major problem.
So, first of all, yes, I mean that's the situation you're describing exactly right. The way I try to solve it is, first of all, yes, try to be, try to get up, 2 hours earlier and learn, because you have a lot of catch up to do. The second is, in my conversations with CEOs, I'm telling them, you're right, we are not technical, just like you guys are, right? So our job as CMOs is to get in front of customers, and you do that by partnering with sales, by making sure that you sit on those sales calls, by, yes, arguing and arguing and arguing again that you need to be at a trade show. And by the way, the way in is, there's a lot of moving parts at a trade show that have nothing to do with the conversations that are taking place there. That's your ticket in. Once you're in, doesn't matter. Just go into every meeting you can.
And I, as well as the sales team being your buddy, I find that the customer success and the subject matter experts, like, find the good guys, and there are always the good guys who just love talking about the technology and the product. They love it. Like, give them the opportunity. So it's like, find them, adopt them as your best buddy. And I think that that's it's always been for me a huge booster to understand, the workings of the technology and behind the scenes of the company.
And maybe we can do a full 360, because you can tape the conversation and then give it to an AI tool to transcribe.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I don't think you've really convinced me that marketers are becoming dumber, lazier, maybe. But I'm not even convinced about that. I think that we stand a chance of becoming dumber. I definitely see that. I think we need to stop producing so much fluff content. But I think it's more about, I think if it's something that I would want marketers to start doing tomorrow, if not today, is to go out there onto the market and speak to your ICP and get a seat at the table, in order to really make the impact.
True. And don't give up.
No, never give up. Never give up. Yoel, amazing as always to chat to you. I'm glad I'm not getting dumber, really.
You're not.
Or maybe I am, but it's just nothing to do with AI. It's also it's also an option. But thank you very much. You're a gem, and look forward to seeing amazing things at Cyborg. I know you'll rock it.